He says, I don't know how to tell you this. They just don't like you anymore, and I've been instructed that you're no longer creditworthy. I said, what do you mean creditworthy? I mean, last week you gave me $1 million on my signature. I got to call all your loans. He says, we've been friends long enough. And he says, I can help you some. And I said, what does that mean? He says, it's like what they're doing right now. You got 30 days. All this money that the government's putting out is on 30 days.
Right, all the loans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's just to get themselves organized to just pull things under. So I had 30 days to come up with all these jillions of dollars. Right?
But were you shocked?
Of course.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering.
I was totally blown away. But then I said, well, I know how to play. I said, I know how to play your game. So I tried to call some favors on some of my other banks that I had helped, and they had their hands tied. And I said, well. So what I did then is immediately starting unloading everything that I could. And I lost millions. We went away, colored gone.
Incredible.
And then I said, oh, the heck with it. So Desiree and we moved to Boulder, Colorado. I said, I'll just kind of kick back. But then I sat in on a meeting with the governor of Colorado and is discussing the underground facilities in Australia, and he got his ticket. And I said, what ticket? He's one of the chosen ones.
Oh, wow.
George, I have to ask you though, if a bunch of people have got tickets for these underground facilities in Australia and elsewhere, what's the need to go underground at that point?
Well,
is this to do with the war or to do with
nuclear fallout?
Hi, I'm Carrie Cassidy from Project. Okay, so George, let's go back to when you first broke into this, and I know you've told that story before. How you were kind of called up, and the thing with which Kennedy was it?
You mean Ted Kennedy?
Yeah, and that whole incident, because that seemed to be, now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that seemed to be like the eye-opening incident in which he sort of looked across the room and saw your daughter and didn't know it was your daughter and made a comment, and what was going on then, and you were asked.
I'll give you the whole story. I was. Prior to this meeting up there, I was volunteering to act as a president of companies. And I would go in, and my job was to liquidate them. I'd get rid of the expendable containers, that's the people. And we'd raid all the assets, and we'd split them when we got through doing all that. That was just kind of, but I did it as a game. I just figured if you weren't smart enough to get up to where, quote, we were, you deserve what you get. Anyway, as I was running around the country, I got introduced to a lot of, the powerful people, if you want to call it that. Anyway, one weekend I was invited up to Aspen. And I was going to Aspen all the time anyway. I built the dormitory for Colorado Mountain College, which is close, up in Leadville. I built a house in Aspen. Estee Lauder actually built a house next to the house that I built up there. And anyway, I come into this room, and I brought my $2 up so they can go skiing. And I said, what am I here for? And they said, we have decided we want you to be the finance chairman for the next president of the United States. And I said, I just started this $100 million project. I mean, last week I was with Bill Levitt, at the Beverly Hills Hotel, sitting around a swimming pool discussing building cities. I know Bill Levitt built Levittown, Pennsylvania, Levittown, New York, just so you know.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I said, well, I got the next question, why me? And they said, well, number one, you're pretty good with money, and we owe you a favor. And I said, well, the next question I have, who's going to be the next president? And they said, Jimmy Carter. And I said, Jimmy who? And they said, well, he's the Democratic governor of Georgia. And I said, but I've been voting Republican. This tall guy, Paul Volcker, walks over and he says, son, don't worry about it. We control them both.
So was this your introduction to the Illuminati, or did you have a clue
I was running
before
with
that?
them. I was running around with the guys. But I didn't have each one of them, they compartmentalize all the information that you get.
Okay.
You can go, when you're with the people that are making the plays, they have certain ego things that they want to satisfy. I mean, Kissinger said the absolute aphrodisiac is power. So we put anybody they want to in power, and then just feed them whatever they wanted to. I mean, I joked about it. I could wear my jeans and go down and borrow $1 million on my signature. No questions asked. Anyway, this meeting changed all this stuff because, like you said, I said, well, the next question I have is, what does a finance chairman do? And they said, well, you sit with Ted. So I sat down with Ted Kennedy, and Ted was right next to me, and he said, George, you're going to love this job. We're going to send you out to all the state Democratic functions. You're really good with money, and you raise money for the National Democratic Party. And he said, then you're going to meet some real foxy ladies. Well, they all think that way, frankly. Now, it isn't just Ted, but they all do. So just coincidentally, my daughter walks in. Now, my daughter is a very attractive young lady. And Ted goes, wow, I have to go to bed with that. And I said, no, Ted, that's my daughter, and she's 14. His response back to me, I don't care. That's when everything kind of stopped to me. I mean, I gulped it. So wait a minute, I gave him the guidelines. I mean, you know, I know how he thought. But when he said he didn't care what I thought about it, then I just said, that's enough. I got up. I didn't say another word to Ted. I walked across the room. I'm talking to Pierre Trudeau and his wife. Pierre at that time was the Prime Minister of Canada. And I'm talking to them just to get my head leveled. I mean, I had just looked at that character over there across the room, and I'll share with some of the other people who were there, but I'm looking in front of Pierre, and there's a little half cigar box full of white powder. I grabbed the housekeeper, and I went in the back room, and I'm looking at the dresser, and on top of this dresser was all these glass tubes. Now, I went to Colorado School of Mines. I majored in geophysics. And chemistry was just kind of a fun game, right? And I never looked at things. I couldn't believe what they were doing. I said, what is this thing? And they said, it's freebasing equipment. They were just using all this stuff. I said, duh, you know, to myself. So I walked by. This was, the meeting was on a Friday afternoon. And I said to the people who invited me up there, I said, look, this is a big decision in my life. I mean, I don't want to stop my $100 million project, even though you'll warehouse it. That's what they told me. Let me think about it and let you know on Monday. Monday, after consideration of everything else, and some of the guys were talking about what they had planned, which is the Global 2000 agenda, the Plan 2000, which Jimmy Carter put in writing. Every congressman got a copy of it. As Kissinger says, the #1 problem we have on planet Earth right now, there's too many people. Well, if you look at that, you would probably agree, so does everybody else. 40% of the world's population is existing on less than $2 a day. If I drop it down to $1, we still got 1.5 billion people. And you have no idea what 1 billion people are until you go to China and walk among them. And there's 1.3 billion over there. But you have to experience that. I mean, I spent a month in China. Now, here's the problem. When you're, and Bucky Fuller and I spent an afternoon discussing, remember his big geodesic domes and all that? Mm-hmm. I told him that because when you're building, the biggest problem with building is your seams. How many seams do you have, for instance, in the geodesic? They're all over. That's the reason why you go to the monolithic. I have a picture, I'll show you the monolithic stuff that you should have.
Which is just like an entire half hemisphere. Or not a half hemisphere, it's an entire hemisphere, isn't it?
Well, you blow up a balloon. And I have a picture. I'm going to grab the picture real quick. I'll just show it.
Can I grab it for you?
Yeah. That dwelling is like a big balloon. And what you do is we'll blow the concrete up on the inside along with 4 inches of foam for insulation. Now you have something that'll structure will be able to withstand the 340 mile an hour winds that are coming, that will be coming to us. This structure here, you can heat it with about 10 100-watt light bulbs. So you don't have any energy use. The biggest problem with these units at this minute is that since the air is basically stagnated, you have to have circulating of the air, and then the humidity is always at least 50%. So you have to address that, but we have a lot of ways to cure all that problem. Meanwhile, it doesn't take anything to heat them. They'll withstand anything. The only things that concern me as a builder, and I've built a lot of stuff, nothing's going to withstand the winds that are going to be coming down to us very shortly.
Well, have you heard of Earth ships?
Yeah.
Have you been in one?
Yeah.
Yeah? And what do you think?
Well, as a builder, when you build all these things that are coming down, you can have these ships. Will they withstand a tree going through the air at 300 miles an hour and hitting it? See, that's what you have to look at. And it isn't just necessarily that. Look at the Indians in the Southwest, in Four Corners. They build them up against the cliffs and they build them inside.
But I'm going to come back to that because I want to go back to our story that you started with.
Okay.
And just talk about kind of like, what kind of, I don't know, mental, emotional roller coaster did you go on in order to get to the place where you are now? Because you seem to be pretty calm, pretty content, and pretty solid with what's happened to you. And I understand that you're having communications with the Pleiadians too, or you have had?
Well, remember that's, yeah, I have had, but we've gone past that. That's only one level within this complex of information.
Are you meaning you're talking to other beings, or?
Well, let's put it this way. In the Bible, whichever one most people use, in John 1 it says, "In the beginning there was the Word." Remember that? Mm-hmm. Well, that was not even correct. In the beginning it was thought. Aren't words thought out loud? Mm-hmm. You pray, you put out thought.
Sure.
Meditate, you're hoping to receive thought. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to give an understanding, if you continue that thing, then really what is thought but God as you would know it? Mm-hmm. Okay, or the creation's thinking. Now the creation make manifest, as they say, or God made manifest, in different dimensions at many times, right? Mm-hmm. So we manifest at this dimension, this illusion, which you and I consider this hologram, right?
Right.
Which consists of the soul plus the vibration of light. And the vibration of light is the frequency that you consider looking at you as a solid object. Now what's holding that solid object together? Do you know? It's your soul.
Right.
Is holding within. It weighs 22 grams. They always tell you it's within. It's based on the hydrogen. The universe is very logical, so you have to see how it's all put together. Now, Carrie, using you as an example, if you're nothing more than a hologram of condensed light, how do I affect that condensed light? Well, we can affect it by the lights, right? If I put you, well, we don't have any in this room, but I put you under fluorescent fixtures, it will cause this physical being to be very weak.
Right.
I can also affect it by thought. Mm-hmm. We can make you weak. You've probably seen my demonstrations on how I make you weak, or have you? Let me show you. Can I use you as a demonstration?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm going to do is...
You're going to do that, the arm thing?
Yeah, I'm going to do the arm thing, because you're going to hold it out.
Okay,
We'll use... Now, what I'm doing is, your arm is a kinesiology bit, basically holding energy. Okay, now, you hold it up, right? Hold it up. I want you to hold it up. No, okay, she's holding it up. But since you're raised, and there's many of them that go out, and I see what we call the aura around people.
You do?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, you will learn how to do that yourself at some point. But what I need to do is now put your arm out again.
Actually, I do. Okay.
Okay, we're going down. Okay, now I'm going to do is cut your energy line, which I just did. What happened to your arm? See how weak it got? You can't do it. Now, when a priest comes up to you, hold your arms out, both of them. And a priest comes up to you. This is another mind control game. They come up to you and they go like this and they split them. So guess what? How weak did you get? You see? What we're doing is a combination of mind control and body control of this hologram. Now, how do we manipulate it? By light, colors, and action. Mm-hmm. And how do we keep it in vibration, or keep it in balance? The whole key is keep everything in balance. Now, when you depart this planet, when you're talking about it, whether it's, if you've seen the Billy Meyer, the videos or the movies on that, you'll see him beamed aboard. What we do is condense light back to frequency, and you're beamed aboard a craft. It's like going from here to the Pleiades, in a few hours. I didn't bring the documents that I just recently got from him, which told me about the speed on how they can go from here to the Pleiades, which is 500 light years.
Okay, but how'd you get those documents?
Well, I did a lecture, and somebody asked me a little bit about how fast it takes, and they said there was of the two craft, the wedding cake and another, which is the latest variation. They were saying how long it took for that craft to go from there to the Pleiades at the constant level of, or the temperature of outer space. And I got to thinking about that. What is the constant temperature of outer space?
Pretty much absolute zero.
No, it's 276 degrees below zero.
Absolute zero, yeah.
Yeah, but it's at when everything's there. And at these speeds, the latest variation takes a couple hours. The other ones take 4 or 5 hours to make it. But what they do is condense all matter back to light. It's kind of like what we're doing here, condensing everything down to a CD.
Okay.
And then we take that CD and then remanifest it. And that's what they're doing now. They're making holograms. When you go to...
right. Absolutely.
You know, if you go to Disney World, for instance, down there in the Haunted Mansion, you see the hologram, right? Oh, you know how to make a hologram. Well, our scientists have learned how to make people. They call them synthetics. Are you familiar with those?
Well, actually, we just interviewed John Lear, and he was talking about being in an audience in which they were given a lecture by a guy that they thought was real and found out later he was a hologram.
Well, it's a synthetic. A synthetics, when you touch their skin, it feels like plastic almost. That's the latest technique. The old techniques, if you guys can rent a video, The Boys from Brazil, rent it, because in it gives you the exact way how our government's been making people.
Really?
Yeah,
well,
and the Soviets have a different method called...
I mean, making people meaning temporary people?
No, walking, talking ones.
Meaning through genetics? You're not talking about that?
Well, let me tell you. The movie shows it, but I'll share it with you right now.
All right.
All I need to do is take 2 cells off of your body, yours.
Uh-huh.
We give them a small electrical charge. I'm just connecting. They'll act like a fertilized egg. If I got a fertilized egg, all I need is a receiver in order to make it. So they were hypnotizing women, you know, said they were being invaded by aliens. And the fetus starts growing, right? Needs food. Well, they can use cows and sheep, too. Again, a food source. That's all we need. After about 14 weeks, all of a sudden that fetus is gone. Because they've learned to take, that's when the fetus starts developing its own blood supply. Then they've used a pituitary hormone extract that they have, which accelerates the being that grows. And the original technology was given to our government by the Greys. Now, the reason was that our scientists were all excited because we could have spare parts. War, it's not a nuclear explosion. So we're right on the precipice. I'm also monitoring right now. I talked to, out in California this morning, there was 3 earthquakes out there. Now they only release this stuff, it's over 3. There's over 1,000 a day. It's like a little chip, you know,
sure.
a cracker.
Absolutely.
So we know it's going to break at any time right now. It's coming up to the point when the San Andreas is going to move. I was with the TV crews up in Sacramento. They're ready for it at any time. They know that it's, and the scientist I talked to up there says, well, we think it's going to go a minimum of 18 feet. Well, that totally wipes out Southern California. All the water, the whole game. Whole thing comes apart. When I got all this data... I
have dreams of the future that tell me things like this, and I've seen San Francisco.
Okay, well, then you've got the same thing. Well, I moved. I said, enough of this. You know, I had a house 2 blocks from the Beverly Hills Hotel. I got out of there. I had a nice house at La Costa, you know, North County, San Diego. Right. I'm gone out of California. I then, looking at all the rest of this thing, how do I maintain balance? Now, what we didn't, when we talked before, when I said no to the doing the job to being the finance chairman, this is where the story continues on. When I said no to do that, then that was on Monday. That Friday, my lead banker calls me in my office and says, George, we got to, you know, you're no longer one of us. I got to call all your loans. I mean, I was under construction. And so anyway, it took me a couple of years to unwind myself, and I said, I don't want any more part of this. But then I got really deep into the Global 2000 agenda or population reduction. Then when I really started to get in and said, wait a minute, we got to wake people up.
Well, when you say you got into it, you mean you...
Well, I sat in with the governor. We're talking about wiping out the American population down to 20 million.
Well, you agree, this is after you got offered that job?
Oh, yeah.
And so, in a certain sense, you were still kind of like
going along with that
program?
No, I just...
Or are you just trying to educate yourself?
Well, I'm educating, but I also was saying, okay, I know what their agenda is. They won't bother me, particularly, right? It's only when I started to publicly say what they're coming down is I started to get the reverberations at any point. It's like when the Feds themselves, you know, the Federal Reserve, they didn't like me because I learned how to break banks. Which was...
Well, okay, how long after the time when you had this sort of realization moment?
The Billy Meyer thing really opened up everything, and within a period of, let's say, a year, I started to say, wait a minute, what I'm doing is not correct. The population reduction scheme that they're going to do, the world, the money game, and hell, I made my own bank outside the Federal Reserve. So it's, you know, I've already done that, been there, done that game. Well, let's go on to something bigger. Well, then I made my agreement with the ETs. I mean, in fact, I told them, I says, if my word's no good, nothing is. Well, what do you have?
Oh, absolutely.
So anyway, the information I had...
Wait. Did you tell him telepathically?
No, I told him just like you and I. I mean, we're sitting here...
You talked out loud?
We're talking out loud. I mean, we're talking about how...
Are you talking about the ones that are walking around that look like humans that you talk to?
Yeah, these are humans, yeah.
Okay.
But not Pleiadians, above the Pleiadians.
Really?
Yeah, and it goes higher than that.
Oh, I'm sure they do. So what were those? Do you know they're like, do they tell you where they're from?
We didn't go into that. In fact, it was a very, rather than having people identify, like with Billy saying there's a Pleiadians, or like when I was in Spain with the Umos, or in South America, all the, you know, there's a lot of different groups that claim that. None of them, they all have different objectives. They were in contact with me, and they said things to me, you know, in my head.
Really?
Well, when I had some answers that it just came out of nowhere. You know how that is. They're in communication, because I'm constantly being aware of them.
Right now?
Well, I know they're around. Sure, they watch me all the time.
Sure, but are you able to discern when it is you, or when it is some inspiration or something you're getting?
When they want to get a hold of me. I mean, they really seriously want to get a hold of me.
Right.
In my house, the phone will ring, but it doesn't.
The real phone, or just a phone?
It sounds just like the phone.
An audible.
It's an audible phone. It's time, okay, and then it's time for me to meditate and get off of, you know, and just wait for whatever there is. Now, can they get to me physically at that point? Yeah, they can do that too. But they try to keep me into this balance. They said, no use talking about that other side, like coming aboard craft. I mean, I remember inside some of those things, but they don't want me to do that. They want me to keep me right here. And they won't tell me about who I am on the other side either.
No? No,
they said if they did, I'd probably wake up and I wouldn't accept the job anymore. It's a joke, seriously. But I got that from about 3 other people too.
You wouldn't accept the job anymore?
I would, no, I'd leave.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Now, do you have any past life recall? Have they given you that?
No, they won't let me do that either. That's part of the game, because who I was before.
Okay.
And I live with a world famous clairvoyant.
Oh, you do?
Who remembers all 6,000 years she's been here.
Okay, that's beautiful.
I was going to invite her over, but we were out partying last night, and she says, I'm just going to kick back. But
okay, so
there is no, you know, between the death experience, it just goes on. It's one continuous thing.
Well, absolutely, I agree with that. And I have some past life recall, as does Bill, but certainly not 6,000. You know,
she remembers back in Atlantis and Lemuria and all those times, and the real story behind. She can tell you what happened, who was leading, and
great. You know, that's fabulous. Well, you know, Bob Dean's wife is the same way, Marcia Schaefer. I don't know if you know who she is. No. Anyway, so does she tell you? Is she allowed to?
No, she's been instructed also.
Oh, really?
To tell me, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we have this thing. I said, look, and because she does readings for people all over the world, and I don't know what she says to anybody, but we have this understanding, and she knows what my job is, and so she supports it.
Okay.
I mean, it's tough to live with clairvoyance, and tough to live with people with me. You know.
I bet.
It's a bad game.
Well, it depends. It depends how you view it. I mean, from day to day, it's, you know, sometimes.
Well, she said she wouldn't have my job. She says the guys upstairs shouldn't have given it to you. We want to have some fun. We don't.
I know. Well, this is the problem. Yeah. So it's a preoccupation every hour of every day.
Well, I'm 100% committed, because how many people get committed and they either you are given the job and then you choose to go away. And this dimension is so screwed up. I can understand that. I mean, even, you know, the message to Garcia that's in our book. You give somebody the job to do it. How many of them really will deliver the message?
Right.
It's like trying to wake people up.
Yeah.
You know, I lectured all kinds of people. A lot of people I get tons of letters of people that wake up finally, but then they recognize the job, but they want to go back to sleep. I mean, the programming is so incredible.
Yeah. I can understand that. Well, we understand this because we're also on a mission. So, What? Okay, to get back to this, so you have this exposure, and you basically knew you were taking on a job at some point, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell me when that was?
When exactly the time was probably when the ETs contacted me again when I was in Vegas, so that would be like 12 years ago. And 12 years ago I was asked to build an enemy prisoner of war camp in downtown Las Vegas, just off of downtown Las Vegas. And I'm sitting here, who's the enemy, and what's this all about? And then I shared that with my friend Ted Gunderson, who's the former head of the FBI, for Southern California. And then he came back, he said, they're building them all over the United States. So that, I said, wait a minute, this time is getting too short. Well, the Global 2000 agenda is behind schedule, because they were supposed to get the war started in the year 2000 in the Middle East. So, I'm like everybody else. Well, they didn't, the dates again, we're talking about dates.
Right.
They didn't get it done yet. But they still want to have, the fait accompli was to have it on the year 2012. Now, everybody knows that comes into sequence, because that's when the Planet X or Marduk or whatever you want to call it is going to come back around, which is going to affect a lot of the physical changes on the planet also. And maybe the return of, one of the people.
The Anunnaki.
Sure. The whole game could come in at that point.
Okay, now are you being told this?
Yeah, I've been given this information at that same game. But the information I have, we want to wake up enough people so there'll be somebody here at that time. But the way things are happening right now is that there's too few of people waking up to make any significant difference. So the last message is what I brought with me. I don't know if you have them or not. From the ETs is to get together with other people of like minds to support each other in the days ahead, because you don't know what chaos is. It's escalating so fast that we're running out of time. So that's the reason why I'm grabbing planes and heading off to other parts of the world to find out where no place is going to be safe. I do know the agendas that they have and some of their...
I'd love to ask you, George, if I could, just a question of my own there. How does that make you feel, the idea that you may be behind schedule with your mission to help wake people up? Do you feel depressed? Do you feel anxious? Do you just get on with the job like a soldier? When you wake up in the morning, do you feel optimistic, pessimistic, concerned, energized?
Well, I got a message the other day. I'm going to be lecturing to a big group this next week in Las Vegas. And just to share with the same thing is to ask you the question, when you come out, I'm going to ask the audience, and it says, how are you today, right? You're good, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. The next question is, why are you today? Because there may not be a tomorrow. And if you're asking me, somewhere within the game that I have right at this minute, we're running out of time. I'm running out of my sequence of getting the information out. I have people all around the planet, even in Nepal and Russia and everything else, forming small groups. But again, from the ETs who are monitoring the entire planet right now, there's too few of them. And I get that same reaction back from people who were 100% committed, because they're so frustrated. They say they're ready to go back to sleep. I can't do that. I wake up in the morning, I'm generally very optimistic on it. I'm optimistic because I'm here today, right?
Right.
When I wake up and if I'm not here today, then that's the next question that you look at. And how much time, whatever that means, do we have to go? I don't know, because it doesn't appear that we have very much time before this chaos. Now, my background is heavy into, besides engineering, is money. And the whole money system is going to collapse on the planet. I mean, I walk around, you look at me, I can go anywhere on the planet right now. I got $5,000 in my pocket. Right now.
5 gold coins.
5 gold coins. And that, I just sit down there and look and say, well, wait a minute, what am I can go anywhere in the world with these little pieces right here. Yeah. Oh, that's silver.
And they don't stop you in an airport. You don't have to declare it. I think that's wise. Well, we invested in silver because you told us to back in January, and it's been going up ever since.
Well, I've got a lot of people, and it's going to go clear on up, because when you're based down to look at the history of the planet, even down in Mexico, it's always the silver coin. Look at the antiquities, and the guys going out digging up the treasures in the ocean. What is it? It's right here. You're looking at it. This is gold and silver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, this doesn't say, this is an American Eagle. This doesn't say Federal Reserve note on it. And that's what
I promise to pay.
No, it's it right here. It says, it's right down in, it's exactly what it is. This is one, you know, it says $1 silver. But it is $9.99. These are what they call silver rounds. This is the new. This is 100% gold. They're in plastic gold. These are the new coins that put out by our Treasury right now. It's Martha Washington, and that's a ½ ounce piece. So that's $500. Now most gold, and if you get it, I don't care whether it's maple leafs or Krugerrands like these are or whatever. But I just showing you, I have $5,000 in my pocket. Mm-hmm. I could have 10 pieces. That's $10,000.
Yeah, you ever worried about losing them?
No. And I put it in, when I go into the thing, I just put it in the change thing. They don't know what it is. Nothing changes off on it, but I can go anywhere in the world.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I carry my passport with me everywhere too.
You have to.
Because I don't know what's going to go on.
Exactly. But you should have a few gold coins on you no matter where you are. Now,
right.
I'm serious on
I'm
that.
listening. Okay, so.
I mean, it's easy. You can get gold right now, you can't get silver. Right at the minute.
Oh, really?
Well, because
I have actually some silver coins from a grandmother.
Well, that's
who
fine.
Kept them.
The old you know, junk silver. I suggest everybody get the old junk silver because it's trading right now at less today, less than what spot is for silver. Mm-hmm. But get some of that because the people will recognize that. Mm-hmm. They're not going to recognize the zinc and the rest of this other junk that they have, but they'll always recognize that. And for fun, do you know the new dollar piece? Looks like a gold piece. The new $1 piece you can buy at the bank. Get some of those because it doesn't say Federal Reserve on that. It just says $1.
Okay, but is it really gold?
No.
Okay, so is that? I mean, that's sort of a.
I'm working on a new gold thing right now.
Oh, right.
You know, in Ecuador.
But so. How is that? Is that? I mean, isn't that just going to help Ecuador, or is
that
something going to go beyond that?
It's already going beyond that because if you trade a piece of gold, it goes anywhere in the world. Look, there's only 3 currencies in the world right now. There's only 3.
What?
Gold, oil, and drugs. I'm not in the drug business.
Okay.
But they keep track of all that with gold. I mean, it's always based on what the barrel, you know, what oil takes out of the ground. And the problem with oil, you're probably aware, we keep on using it up. It's not replenishing like they're saying. We're using it all up. And we're no longer getting that 30 cents a gallon oil out of the ground. It's 80 cents a gallon to get it out of the ground right now. That's the real cost. And then usually the government's time they add the taxes, that's another $1 to $1.40 a gallon. So you're $2.20 a gallon for oil coming out of the ground right now. Then you got the distribution and other stuff, or it brings the cost up. Within a very short period, you're going to be $4, and then like Europe, $7 a gallon. It's coming up.
Okay. That's
going to kill the little guy even more, right? Mm-hmm. Well, only thing that's to offset all this, since we're playing with the world thing, and the people play with a game called, you know, the stock market, which has nothing to do with business. It has nothing to do with business. That's just a crapshoot. Piece of paper. What does that have to do with business? The CEOs are already stealing all the money out of the companies, so people have a piece of paper. If the whole company collapses like they're doing right now, you still got the piece of paper, but you can't do anything with it. But you can always take a piece of gold or a piece of silver and trade it, right?
Okay, so I mean, we have people saying to us, I mean, we get a whole mixed bag of people with information.
Sure.
Okay. Now, your information comes from Intel, right?
Yeah.
You've got some CIA people.
I have CIA, MI6, I have FBI, I have foreign government. I have one of my friends was the head of all of Latin America, the CIA. CIA is crooks in action. All CIA people. They're all professional liars. They're all professional liars.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know.
Okay, but let me ask you something. You know, Richard Hoagland says, like, the lie is different at every level.
Yeah, that's right.
So let me ask you, do these people have the information correct, or are they also misled?
to give you that idea, now this is on a physical plane. I sat in on a meeting when we were talking about population reduction in the United States.
Right.
And there was a dozen of us, and they were talking about using neutron bombs in the major cities and biological weapons and things.
Right.
And within the group, you know, we're all buddies, right? It's like the three of us are buddies right now at the minute. Well, what if I sent you outside and we're talking about getting rid of you? Now, what happened is, which brought my attention was, I sat with this meeting, and one of my close friends was a member of the Skull and Bones, which is pretty high up. I mean, they're incredible powerful. Anyway, half of the meeting left, and we were talking about...
We have some deep black, you know, people in deep black telling us information, okay? And we have to evaluate that information. Sure. So we use our intuition, you know, our psychic ability.
Inside you're going to know.
We triangulate with other information. So and then, you know, and basically we kind of go ahead in that way. But some of the stuff they give us is totally contradictory. And we'll have two people, and one of our people is called Henry Deacon. It's a fake name. He worked at Livermore. He worked at a lot of places. All right. You can read about him on our website. But he's convinced, just as you are, that one, there's something like Planet X headed this way.
Sure.
Two, that that the economy and everything's going under very shortly. The population question. He was educated, or re-educated, if you will, that. All about the population control issue and how they have a plan to get rid of the population.
I put it up on my website.
Right. So, I mean, he follows all that. And yet we've got other people like, David Wilcock, who is talking about, ascension, who's talking about, a whole different, a positive future for the earth.
But see, there's a different agenda on the ETs. Remember, there's a group of extraterrestrials that are hoping we're going to destroy ourselves.
Right.
All right, if they're hoping we're going to destroy ourselves and they want that, then we're going to give all these, quote, New Agers that you're going to ascend. Well, you can call death ascension or do anything you want to, right?
Okay.
You can do it at that point. But the group is, if you just sit back and say, wait for somebody to come back and save us, now you put that ourselves into the victim consciousness again.
Right.
And that's not the way the universe works. The whole key to this whole thing is personal responsibility.
Absolutely.
Totally. And if I'm looking for somebody out here to come save us, I don't care what you call them or something. Save us from what and who's going to be there? I mean, even if Christ would come back at this time, we'd crucify him in half the time. And it's like the ETs I'm involved in, they say, now remember, the universe is logical. You guys really know how to destroy a planet. Do you think we're going to take you to another planet? You do it in half the time. We haven't come into that, quote, balance part of the spiritual to understand who and what we are in relationship to the universe, which is a connection to the creation as it's finding out what it's up. Could be like in India, they ultimately say the creation says, I'm tired of this, and goes over and goes to sleep, and we'll all cease. And I also asked the next question. We got the creation is above all things. Even Billy Meyer says that. What's above the creation? And you know what my friend said from the other side? Well, there's still mysteries for us.
That's right.
We can't get the ultimate game because we're all part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.